Are we good? Can you hear me? Cool. All right. Good morning, everybody. Oh, thanks, you responded. I'm so glad y'all are all here this morning. I hope y'all are all doing well. For those of you who've been with us all weekend, I hope y'all aren't too tired. For many of you, I may be a new face, so allow me a second to introduce myself. My name is Madeline Kurz. I'm a senior at Hoover High School, and in the fall, I plan to attend college, which one is still in the works. Some other random things about me. My favorite color is purple. I love English and history. I hate football. Okay? Don't judge me just yet. And I absolutely love to dance. As far as church goes, I've attended River Chase for about 5 years now. But one thing I never miss is a discovery. I know we preach to you how amazing and life-changing this weekend is until we're blue in the face. But I can honestly say that I would not be where I am if it were not for this weekend. When I was younger, my family attended church very regularly. I even attended a Methodist preschool. As I got older, though, I fell more and more in love with dance and began to prioritize my time in the dance studio over my time at church. I was little at first. I missed a Wednesday. I left early from a Sunday. And eventually, I was missing whole weeks of church. I started to hear names in the youth group that I hadn't heard before, people I didn't recognize. Events that I used to never miss came and went without me knowing they even happened. And before I realized it, I had created a gap that felt impossible to fill. There were people I didn't know and people I knew had already established themselves in church. How was I supposed to catch up? I spent the most of middle and high school thinking that the idea of becoming a regular at church again was too impossible to even try, so I didn't. I threw myself more into dance and more into school, so I had an excuse to give my friends, but mostly so I had an excuse to give myself. I still read my Bible and I prayed, but eventually those things began to feel foreign too. In 7th grade, my best friend asked me to come to Discovery with her. We took a big group, so I was like, okay, this is going to be my thing. I'm going to be more comfortable now, and I'm going to be a regular at church again. Despite my initial thoughts, I spent the entire weekend comparing myself to everyone around me. Whether it was in a big session like this or in our small groups, I thought that everyone knew what they were doing, and I was the only one who didn't. They participated in discussion. They prayed in front of other people. They had the ability to talk about God like they grew up next door, and I had no idea how to do any of the above. I decided that was it, this was it, I wasn't coming back, I was too far gone, and then we had one of our leaders mention that at the end of that weekend on Sunday, we could be baptized at the service. I spent a lot of time thinking about it. We already don't sleep at night during Discovery, but I spent that whole night wrestling with the idea of whether or not I was going to be baptized. I eventually decided that maybe baptism was the thing that was going to fill the gap for me. So that Sunday at Discovery in 7th grade, I was baptized right up here with my entire family and in front of all of my friends. And afterwards, I felt exactly the same. And it wasn't until Discovery this past spring that I figured out why. Faith isn't something that just happens to us, right? It's not a door that you walk through and never have to touch again. You don't read your Bible and pray and go to the correct services and events and all of a sudden you are overcome with faith for the rest of your life. It's something you work at every single day. Those years between my baptism and this realization were really weird. I knew I wanted to be here. I knew I wanted to talk to people and I wanted to learn and grow in my faith. But I felt like because I wasn't immediately changed by baptism that I still really wasn't enough. So in the spring of last year, after waiting till the absolute last second, I gave it one more go and was a high school leader at Discovery 2022. I wasn't a middle schooler anymore. This time I was a high school leader. I was supposed to talk to these kids and teach them about something I felt too inferior to even talk about myself. I was so sure that if I tried to talk to these kids about my thoughts and interpretations, that everyone would figure out I wasn't supposed to be here and that I wasn't enough. This is when I met Emma Shirley. She was one of our college leaders, and she changed the way I saw my story, and she didn't even mean to. On the way back to a small group session, she asked if I would go ahead and lead a discussion so she could grab a snack. I was shocked. Here was this college girl who I knew grew up in this church, was well established. She didn't know me at all, but she believed that what I had to say was important for these middle schoolers to hear. Me. What I had to say? She didn't know that it was the first time I'd been in this church in probably 3 months. But it didn't matter to her. Her blind trust proved to me that my story of being different from my friends isn't what made me less than enough, but it's what qualified me to be here. I spent 6 years feeling like I was never going to be my friends. I was never going to reach that point. But Emma showed me that I didn't have to. I was enough exactly as I was. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands or stand up or anything too dramatic, but I am going to ask you to take a second and think about a time that you felt like you didn't belong in church, or you were uncomfortable talking to God or in your relationship with Him. Maybe for some of you it was when you were younger, or a few years ago, maybe a few months, weeks, days, yesterday, right now. All of these things are okay. I know how you feel or how you have felt. I was that person, and I know how absolutely isolating it feels. But I want you to know that even though many of us aren't jumping up and down to admit it, we've all been there, and we've all felt lost in our journey with God, and we're going to again. But you are not alone, and your story is just as valid and just as good as everyone else you compare it to. What qualifies you is not your past or a list of requirements or boxes to check off, but it's the want. The want to learn and grow in your faith. The want to be His people. That's it. For me, it took Emma believing in me to push me to take the leap back into my faith. If you're looking for that, for someone who wholeheartedly believes in you, let me be that for you. I believe that all of our stories are important and equally correct. We all come to know God in our own way and at our own time, and that's what makes churches so special. We all know the verse, Psalm 139:14, I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. But what I want to talk about is the first part of that passage, the other 13 verses. It's easy to miss the gravity of what this verse is saying if you don't hear the parts before it. Lord, you have examined my heart and know everything about me. You know when I sit down or stand up. You know my thoughts even when I'm far away. You see me when I travel and when I rest at home. You know everything I do. You know what I'm going to say even before I say it, Lord. You go before me and follow me. You place your hand of blessing on my head. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too great for me to understand. I can never escape from your spirit. I can never get away from your presence. If I go up to heaven, you are there. If I ride the wings of the morning, if I dwell in the farthest oceans, even your hand will guide me, and your strength will support me. I could ask the darkness to hide me, and the light around me to become night, but even in the darkness, I cannot hide from you. You, the night shines as bright as day. Darkness and light are the same to you. You made all the delicate, intricate parts of my body and knit me together in my mother's womb. Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvelous. Don't I know it? Now that last verse is a different translation, but it is still talking about how fearfully and wonderfully made each of us were. In this section, David is talking and marveling about how detailed and how precise God was when he made him. Not only did God know what David was thinking or what he was going to say, but he knows you too. He knows your thoughts. He knows your actions. He knows your spirit, your soul, all of the above. All those things that you keep in the darkest places that you tell absolutely nobody, he already knows them too, and he loves you. You are fully known and fully loved. Whatever you feel is keeping you from God, that thing you just can't let go of, he already knows it. He made you that way. He's guiding your path and your story. So what you may see as imperfections, He has already planned, and rather than pushing you away from him, it's bringing you closer. Your story is not full of imperfections that are supposed to push you from him, but full of things that can help bring other people into this place and bring other people to him. Starting in church is a little scary. I know. I avoided it for a few years. All the people around you know each other and you know nobody. But this church and these people, they want to know you. They want you here. They want to accept you as you are right now. They want to teach you the things you feel like you don't know and help you with the things like praying in front of people that you feel are impossible. We want you to feel comfortable here. Despite what you may think, this is not a place of perfect people. I know I'm not perfect, and I definitely don't have it all figured out. But I'll be the first to tell you that this is a place full of people who want to help you and want to be God's people. They want to serve their neighbor and grow in his word. And not only do they want it for themselves, but they want it for you too. Please hear me tell you that no one wants you to be perfect. We're not sitting here with a list waiting for something for you to mess up so we can mark it. There's no underlying secret something you have to do to be accepted here. All you have to do is want to be here. Church should be a safe place. It's called a sanctuary. Allow it to be that place for you. I know it's scary, but nobody else can take that step for you. You have to do it. And for those of you who came to Discovery this weekend, congratulations, you already did it. Keep coming back. We want you here. You make this a better place. I thought a lot about what I was going to say up here before writing this talk, and I talked to my mom a lot about it. She said that she heard this interesting quote about parenting, and I think it applies to church as well. She said, a parent's job is to give you roots and wings. Wings to see that all the world has to offer you and to find out who you're going to be. But roots to always know where your home is. If we're applying it to church, then God is your wings. He is with you always, wherever you go, and you are never too far from him. And church is your roots. It's the place where you can learn and grow and be vulnerable and lean on those around you. Church is especially important when we're unsure or in times of great growth like middle and high school, but especially later in life, any time when we need some help and guidance. Our church family guides not only our faith, but our feet, our hearts, and our spirit. In science and in therapy, there's this process called grounding, and it suggests a healing property in things that connect you directly to the earth. So think laying in the grass or a barefoot walk on the beach. In much the same way, active participation in church connects us to God. Involvement in church has the same healing effect as a quiet walk on the beach. It reconnects us with God even when we don't know we need it. I'm eternally grateful for the youth program here at River Chase, for Taylor and her guidance and her example, for Emma and her wholehearted belief in me. I hope that you all leave today feeling so loved and so welcome, and knowing that wherever you may go and wherever your wings may take you, your roots are always right here. For the middle and high schoolers, I want you to know that it is never too late to start your journey with the Lord, and I hope one lesson you take away from me is to never let the fear of failing keep you from the overwhelming joy that is following him every day, because you are already enough.